Let's get to it. So Freddie Roach came out and he had an interview with Boxing Scene, and he basically saying that CaneloCharlo will stop Canelo.
Get the out of here, man.
Now, the interesting thing is that he said this version of Canelo can't handle CaneloCharlo. And I've heard that a lot. I've heard a lot of people talking about this version of Canelo. But before I get into that, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know what his full quote on what he said. So it starts off with him saying, this version of Canelo will not be able to handle Charlo. I'm picking Charlo by stoppage. And then the rest of the quote just ends like, I love the attitude that Charlo brings into the ring. He's mean, he's defiant, and better yet, he backs the attitude up with his talent.
You gonna get knocked the fuck out.
He cannot be intimidated. He has a great chin and doesn't get fazed by getting hit.
Yeah.
Charlo is downright vicious inside the ring. And while both men can fight, I think Charlo will have too much firepower for Canelo to handle, especially at the higher weight. Canelo needs to stay away from Charlo's left hook. The question is, can Canelo stay away from Charlo's left hook? I don't think he can, which is why I'm picking Charlo by stoppage.
You know what I do.
He's clearly picking Charlo, and he's picking him by stoppage. Now, if Charlo were to beat Canelo by stoppage, I think it'd be because of who he is as a fighter. See, we shouldn't try to make excuses.
Be quiet. Humble yourself.
And what I mean by that is, saying this version of Canelo is already making an excuse. This version of Canelo, because I guess people are trying to say that he's on a decline, and they actually basing it off of his last fight with John Ryder. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes you have a bad performance, that don't really mean that you're on a decline. I'm not going to think that Canelo's on a decline until I see him after these last 3 fights. Then we can decide if he's on a decline or not. After he fights CaneloCharlo, and then he got 2 more fights after that, then we can decide if he was on a decline or not. But I'm not going to decide he's on a decline right now based on his last performance with John Ryder. So let's not make excuses. The same way with Canelo, I said let's not make excuses. It works with CaneloCharlo as well. If it's a TKO, I'm going to look at it as because he was the better fighter inside that ring. On another note, Zhilei Zhang, I don't know if I'm saying his name right. If I'm not, sorry, it is what it is. He has a rematch with Joyce, and their demon is eye for an eye. As you guys remember, in the first fight, he stopped Joyce by a TKO stoppage because his eye was swollen, and they just stopped the fight because I'm guessing he couldn't see out of the eye. And so now they have a rematch. And listen, if you look at the last fight, you can see that Joyce is just not a match for Zhang. He's not. Listen, Joyce, I've never been a big fan of him. I've never even really been a fan of him, to be honest with you. His style just wasn't to my liking. He was too slow. He's very slow if you look at him box. He almost seems robotic if you really just watch him. And now he know how to move. You know, that's one thing I'll give him. He know how to move, but he don't know how to expound on that movement and add in combos and add some nice moves that'll go along with that movement. You know, his defense sucks. So with all that being said, you can look at this to go just like the first fight. If not, he'll get stopped again. Maybe earlier this time, who knows? Because Zhang, he went in there the first time trying to get him out early, and he tired himself out. He was fatigued. Now, one thing about Zhang, even though he was fatigued, he still had power. Whereas Joyce, his power was, he seemed like he started getting comfortable. Later on in the rounds, he started getting comfortable, but it was already too late. He had already taken a lot of damage. You know, he wasn't trying to dodge none of those shots, man. He was just taking those shots. And he got a good chin, he do. But that ain't going to help you in the long run if you're just taking those shots, bro, because your eye will swell up like that, and then you're going to be able to see. Then they're going to end up stopping the fight. Then you'll be in a loss by TKO stoppage. So my prediction for this fight tonight is going to be Zhang again. It's going to be either a KO or a TKO stoppage once again. I don't really know if it's going to be a KO, but I'll give him maybe a TKO stoppage once again. And that's my prediction because Joyce is just probably just time for him to hang it up.